It's a trap!
Well, greetings, of course, and a very warm welcome to the channel. I appear to be having some sort of an issue with my web camera, so just, oh, hello. There we go, she lives. Been a while, a little bit of dust in there, perhaps. But hello! Yay, welcome. Yeah, I just had a couple of hours to burn here randomly, so I thought I'm going to cast a best of 5 here between AGameAnx and Descara. Kindly sent to me, of course, by Sinistro, still an absolute legend, hero of the Homeworld Deserts of Karak scene, and still providing me with what I expect to be epic replays, because when it comes to AGameAnx and Descara, well, honestly, it's hard to think of two players who produce more spectacular and more entertaining to watch games and battles than those two. So I guess without further ado, I believe that the replay is already loaded into the file here. Let's have a looky just to make sure. Yes, indeed. Looks like the first map is going to be the Boneyard. So we're going to go ahead and load straight on into this one, and we're going to have to see whether your caster Magpie842 can remember what on earth he's doing when it comes to casting this game. If anyone's out there in chat, please do let me know about the audio balance and things like that. I'm not sure like how well my voice is coming across. It's been a long time since I cast, and some of my settings have been changed. I had some issues when I was casting Company of Heroes 2 the other day. So yeah, please do let me know if you think the game is too loud, or if you think my voice is too loud, or anything like that. Feedback appreciated. I've got the Twitch chat open here on a second or third, I guess, monitor. So yeah, please do let me know. Okie dokie. So, spawning in the south here, playing as the, let's see, it's kind of a grey, I'm just going to call him the Grey Coalition for now, like, because it's hard to tell because of the sun and things whether that is actually the colour that he is. But anyway, spawning in the south here, playing as the Grey Coalition forces, it is going to be AGameAnx, and I am actually pretty excited to see AGameAnx here try and play as a Coalition. Meanwhile, spawning up in the north, playing as the kind of sky blue Coalition forces, it is going to be Descara. So, wow, interesting times actually. I actually can't remember if I've ever cast A-Game versus Descara in like a CVC. So, I mean, anything could happen, and I don't even know what to look for, to be fair. Let's bring up the tech here for AGameAnx. We're watching this replay from his perspective, so he's going to be... we're going to have like access to his research tree and things like that, so we can keep an eye on his decision making. Descara going to be a little bit more mysterious, of course, due to the limitations of the Homeworld Deserts of Karak replay viewing system. I am unable to see what Descara is researching, but that actually just kind of makes it quite fun and exciting, and a little bit tense for me as a caster, and hopefully for you guys as viewers as well. So yeah. That's the situation right now. Looks like Descara's he's got the UAV out on the field. I think he came for a quick swoop in. I don't know if he actually had a look at what was going on. I don't think he did. Looks like it's going to be a quick support cruiser here for Descara. AGameAnx. He's got LAV Fab coming. Let's bring up the production tab here. Bonk. There we go. So AGameAnx production cruiser going to be coming out here just a few seconds after Descara there.
Support cruiser now operational. Unidentified hostile incoming. Authenticate.
And there comes that UAV here, just coming in for a little look, wants to know the timing here, whether there's a support cruiser on the natural or not. Sorry, do you just bear with me here?
Just remember to reset if we hit contact. Salvager online. Proceed to rally point. Location marked.
Yep. These two players, I mean, what can I say about them, really? I mean, AGameAnx is, if you don't know about him by now, probably nothing I say is going to help, but, like, he's just incredibly good. He's, like, been in Homeworld Deserts of Karak since the beta and things like that. In terms of his play style, he's like a true RTS player insofar as, you know, he doesn't really have a default style. He's incredibly talented in a macro game, and I think that's where his main strengths lie. However, he's not above going for timing attacks, or what I say not above, I mean it's like these strategies have like different value to one another. But what I'm saying is he does like to mix in a timing attack, or he likes to mix in cheese from time to time. He will play the RTS to the best of his abilities, and that does mean trying to take your opponent off guard with a kind of left field build from time to time. So yeah, that definitely makes it quite spicy to cast him, let's put it that way, because you never know quite what to expect. A couple of LAVs moving out onto the field right now. Looks like the LAVs of A-Game just trying to zone out this UAV, get a little bit of damage onto it. A couple of LAVs here from Descara going to be moving across, poking on into that neighborhood. A few more coming on out right now. Let's check the research here for AGameAnx. So we're going to have AAV Fab coming up right now. All looking pretty standard so far, I think, from both of these players. Oh, hang on, sorry, I've missed that rail tech is already a thing. Okay, so, okay, rail tech's a thing. We've not actually seen an AAV from Descara, which is a little unusual, actually, because typically he does love going for these, it's almost like, in my mind, he does this build so frequently, it's almost like the Descara build in my mind. Yeah, normally he pushes out with like 2 or 3 AAVs across the middle of the map. You can tell it's been a while since I've casted Deserts of Karak because I can't remember the exact number. But anyway, he does like to poke across and apply some pressure, and he's normally really good at that, to be honest. He's just such a well-practiced, smooth operator when it comes to microing his AAVs and things like that. Anyway, looks like the railgun tech here is shortly to be revealed. I would have thought, there we go, you can see the barrel warming up. And if Descara is paying any kind of attention whatsoever with his eyes or his ears, he will now know that railguns is the weapon of choice for the time being for AGameAnx. Looks like Missile Battery going to be following on after AAV Tech. Looks like we got some Strike Fighters actually from Descara. I did miss them being made. So anyway, Strike Fighters coming in, taking a few pot shots into the resource line here. You can see A-Game responding with the missile ship research and repositioning some of his units here. They're going to come back in for some more hits on the main mineral line here, or the main CU line if you like. Circling around again. Descara's got like pretty good micro when it comes to all this stuff. Ugh, these salvagers getting turbo wounded, but so far none of them falling. This pass ought to kill a couple. Yeah, there they go. So that's 2 down. So far for no losses as well. What's the health on these Strike Fighters like? Oh, not too bad. If Descara's feeling ballsy, he could come back in for another couple of salvos, or he could just bank his gains for now. Looks like he's gonna do that. Good old defensive AAV in position here for AGameAnx. Now, Sinistro sent me through the replays from both perspectives here, so I have like Descara's replays and AGame's replays. So what I was thinking of doing was alternating. So next game we'll have the replay from the perspective of Descara, and that way we can take a look at his tech and focus on his side of things a little more. Anyway, the missile battery is now out, and that's going to give AGameAnx a pretty decent measure of defense against the roving air forces that Descara has out on the map. This is now 4 Strike Fighters, and he's not actually falling them back for repairs. So that's yeah, just 4, no more on the queue right now for Descara.
Construction resources exhausted.
Let's check the macro here. Is this sometimes the production tab just like breaks on this game, but okay, so that is actually accurate. So no sign of a second support cruiser just yet for Descara. Second support cruiser for AGameAnx is actually also nowhere to be seen. So neither player getting too greedy. Nobody wants to get punished for you know, trying to take too many cookies from the jar at once. Both players, as you would expect from these two, treating each other with a reasonable amount of respect. And it is Descara who is going to grab the first artifact, try and apply some objective pressure here to AGameAnx. Going to try and force his hand here into either making a move or, I suppose, not making a move, in which case you get an artifact, and that's pretty sweet value too.
Carrier moving. Seal hatches.
Salvager online.
Yo, DX Kajal, I guess is how you say that. Nice to see the the rampant Deserts of Karak fanboyism in the chat there. That's good stuff, bro. So let's see now. Little long distance mining off of a 3rd location now is Descara, so I suppose he just about has the economic edge. His field control looks really good. Railgun's getting mixed on into the army now, which is obviously pretty sweet. He's also grabbing, well, he's actually extracting 2 artifacts at present. I would be amazed if A-Game won't try and block the second one. Letting your opponent grab 2 artifacts is like, that can actually, like, quite apart from the fact that the scoreline is then like 2-0, and therefore you have to defend a lot harder when it comes to stopping your opponent extracting additional artifacts. But 2 chips of power actually makes, like, that can make a difference in any fight involving a carrier or carriers. So you never want to let your opponent grab these things. So there we go, 1-0 for Descara, gonna grab that one. Now let's see, the last best of 5 that I watched these two guys play was incredibly close. As I recall, I think Descara went 2-0 up, and then AGameAnx managed to get like the reverse all kill for a 3-2 win. But my god, it was close. It was like you couldn't hope for like a closer, more well-balanced, more even match to watch. It was a very exciting series. So I got high hopes here. I do have high hopes. We'll see what happens though. Looks like we've got a quadrat. Okay, so what's the quad version of a trio? Like, we got a quadio, a quadat of railguns coming in here. Somebody could let me know, please, that'd be great. Anyway, we've got 4 railguns coming in here for Descara. He's got them LAVs at the front here providing line of sight, and that is pretty nice. Gonna start getting some hits, finds a missile battery actually. Looks like the cluster mortar from A-Game coming out here just to ward off these LAVs, not actually finding any damage though. And I believe, I mean, this little maneuver here is actually going to enable Descara to extract the second artifact here, and that is going to be a pretty fast 2-0. A-Game mining fluently off of 3 locations though, so fair to say that he has the economical lead now. You can see he's repositioned his carrier from the main up here, and Descara, his second support cruiser is only just now making its way out to the 3rd mining location. So A-Game with a small but significant economical lead, and when you're playing at the high levels of play in any RTS, it's always the small things that make the difference. Like, the higher the level of play, the smaller the things are usually that decide victory, because both players are so skilled. They're not, they are much less likely to make big blunders. So anyway, I'm loving the positioning here from Descara. It's pretty spicy. Using these railguns here, they've got a lovely little sound dune they can use here for cover. We've got 3 AAVs to provide some point defense in case anything like, say, I don't know, these LAVs tries to get up on top of these railguns. There's a little screen of LAVs here just to provide some line of sight and additional firepower, and I suppose a measure of anti-air. Even got a base runner in the hood just chilling in case he feels like, you know, he needs to throw down a turret. Actually, both of his base runners here. I'd love it if you would transition this one to here and this one to like over here. That just seems like a better base runner distribution to me. But you know, small things, and you know, obviously Descara is trying to play an entire RTS game, whereas I'm just watching and talking. It's a little easier, perhaps. Hey, who am I kidding? I'm selling myself short here. It's so not easy. It's really, really hard. This is definitely way harder than playing. Anyway, looks like we might have a big battle coming up here. The strike fighters come in deep here from Descara, but they're going to get punished by the missile batteries, so not really able to find much value with those. Loses 2 of them, gets out with 2 of them just. Oh, he's coming back. Why are you coming back? Get out of there, son. Meanwhile, up at the north, the battle beginning, perhaps in earnest. AAV's forming a lovely wall. Look how Descara positions his army here. There's some lovely, lovely formation he's got going on here. The armored assaults like running up the front whilst the railguns are sheltered at the back. They even have a high ground advantage where they are right now, taking some lovely shots here, scoring some good damage. Here come the LAVs though. This is the move from AGameAnx. He has to come in here and find some damage, or he will have to yield the position, and I don't think he wants to yield the position because that will enable Descara to open fire on his 3rd mining location. The LAVs get into a reasonable position here actually, but they're getting quite badly suppressed by the AAVs. They find some damage onto a railgun, but it looks like armor, man, so much armor research is done, and a gunship comes in from Descara, and the LAVs of AGameAnx will be forfeit here. You have to think he's never going to get them out of here. Can he find any damage for these? I don't know. They're kind of getting cleaned up here. Wow, that was some pretty sweet plays. Okay, meanwhile though, the main battle line here for Descara continues to churn forwards. The railguns actually are exposed now and unsupported. There is just railguns. This is like just 7 railguns going for like a rampage. I mean, it's like, it's actually fine right now, but it won't be for too long. Descara exposing these railguns so significantly. Wow, I think he needs to, yeah, he knows it. He needs to get over that sand dune real fast. The LAVs get hoovered up. I don't think they achieved anything more of note. I didn't see if they did, but I just can't imagine what some LAVs would have done out there in the middle of like a load of Descara's units. So Descara here taking a handsome lead, I think it's safe to say, in this game. Leading as he does in the score line, leading as he does with field control. I like his army composition a lot better. Positionally, you know, this is where you want to be with an army like that which Descara has. Cluster mortar here going to be used by AGameAnx. Actually catches an LAV or 2 there, but still nothing to write home about. Good veterancy beginning to pop up on those railguns as well. And oh, is this just a backstab of AAVs? Oh man, the AAVs having gone back to chase those LAVs of AGameAnx. Descara's AAVs gonna head down to the south here and will deny a resource extraction site. There's just nothing here that can defend against these AAVs. So they have to GTFO. And now, I mean, I don't want to. Whoa! What is this carrier doing? What is this carrier actually doing? I think Descara is just actually just doing misty flips with his carrier. That is just like the extent to which he's ahead in this game. He is literally just doing like tricks with his carrier. I think that was like a 720 misty like no scope or something, whatever. Can you tell I don't snowball? But anyway, yeah, this is looking pretty dire for a game as Descara grabs another artifact that brings him up to 3 over none. And okay, so there's a window of time here actually. Look at this battlefield. Maybe AGame has a window here. I just don't know if he does. Because okay, so I think right now AGame has like the bigger army supply. Is that a thing that I can even look at? Not really. Let's have a look at units. Here we go. So right now AGame with the slightly bigger army, because Descara has been trading a lot of his actual military units for value, which is fine. But there is like a little window here where if you imagine a graph, like AGame's army is probably like about the same size or maybe slightly bigger than that of Descara. I think it was when I started explaining this, but by now Descara has had enough time to have enough production cycles that I think his army is probably just fine now actually. I was thinking maybe there was a window of time where AGame could have just pushed across, but railguns aren't the fastest of units. And, you know, Descara, I mean, how many railguns are there? 12 he now has on the defense versus just 11 on the attack here. These ones are also being repaired here for Descara, so nice to see that he's taking care of his army. A few strike fighters are out. There's still that gunship, remember, in Descara's carrier, so he does have access to additional air support if he thinks he requires it. Looks like some shots going to be exchanged here, just some railguns taking out a logistics module here. But AGame here, okay, he's actually snuck an artifact. I didn't actually see what, so he must have grabbed that one from here, but I didn't I didn't see when he grabbed that one, but nicely done. So A-Game's going to at least get an artifact. That is something. Unless, do you reckon it could be sniped by some strike fighters and a gunship? I don't think so. I think this base runner's actually too close now.
Hostiles designated. Trackers assigned. Confirmed.
Everybody loves a gunship. I love a gunship. The sound they make. So good. I mean, I like A-Game's army. Like, I just don't like its size. There's a lot more red here than there is white, you know what I mean? Like, and that's scary. But, you know, A-Game has split his forces to some extent. He does have a few units here supporting the base runner, which has grabbed him an artifact. 3-1 now the score. 3-1, 3-1, 3-1, 3-1. And now the battle begins in earnest. A-Game here with a lovely high ground advantage, but Descara here with a numerical advantage. Railgun shots being exchanged. Looks like both batteries of railguns actually finding their opposing number, but I think it's Descara here taking a pretty convincing fight as the railguns here for A-Game beginning to drop here. The carrier going to be the third lance here, the tip of the spear coming on through. It has no fear. And indeed, why should it? Descara right now operating with considerable amounts of power reserves, to be honest. Not to mention the buff from 3 artifacts, and he is just chewing through. A-Game in complete disarray here, being pursued, hunted down relentlessly across the desert. This is like watching a wounded gazelle run from a pack of hyenas. And it's now also 4-1, and Descara, man, I mean, I can't see how this is not going to be a pretty convincing win for him to open the series. And ordinarily, if this was any other 2 players, I'd just be like, well, this is probably going to be a 3-0, or like, you know, maybe a 3-1 for Descara. But we've seen it before where Descara has gotten off to a fantastic start and still fallen to A-Game. You know, never count A-Game out. He's one of those players who just has that, like, star power, you know. He has that, like, ace ability to just pull something out when he needs it. And anyway, artillery cruiser is what he's going to be pulling out for now. Barrage coming down onto these railguns. Doesn't really find any spectacular damage, but he's got 2 artillery cruisers out now, so he could try and focus down the... I just don't think he's going to be able to focus down the carrier with any... Like, he just doesn't have the time. Descara just has, like, so many more power chips. Like, A-Game just... Like, A-Game has 3 power versus however goddamn many that Descara has. This is kind of getting ugly. As this fight begins to unfold, the health bars are not super relevant, so can I switch to glass mode? How do you do that? There we go. Let's get a little glass mode on here. Good to see I can still remember some hotkeys, and we can just take in this game in its full cinematic glory as we see a support cruiser of A-Game here just going down. Descara rinsing on through. I'm going to bring back the health bars just now. And, I mean, what can you do here as Descara? Well, the simple answer is you try to kill your opponent's carrier. He's actually all in on a carrier kill as Descara. I didn't realize he started... Sorry, as A-Game. A-Game has a shit ton, I believe is the technical phrase for this, of railguns. Way more than I thought. Looks like Descara is frantically going to be trying to... Okay, so Descara pops a line of smoke, which was pretty sweet, but you know what? This was all a distraction for something that I didn't even notice, let alone A-Game, was the fact that Descara had 2... Descara could have won this one 6-1. So Descara here, I mean, okay, his carrier looks like it's a bit shaky here, but he still had way loads of health reserves, max into reactive armor. Like, I don't actually think that this carrier was in jeopardy whatsoever, and he was just using it to make sure that there was nothing A-Game could do to touch these artifacts that are extracting here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you win a CVC on Boneyard. Nicely done, Descara, giving us a little bit of a lesson there, a little bit of a masterclass. What happened to the days when the menu was on F10? I'm sure that was a thing. Oh, there we go. So wow. Oops, I've gone to the wrong screen, but don't worry, I'll be back. There we go. So yeah, just give me 2 seconds. We're going to load the next replay on in. And also bear in mind, because of the awesome way that Sinistro packages these replays, so we want Descara to be the host on this one. Bear in mind that because of the awesome way that Sinistro packs these replays, I actually don't know how many games there are in this series. So like, even though I have the replay files, I don't know if it's going to be like a 3-0 or like a 3-2 or like, you know, whatever. So I am as much in suspense as you guys. Okie dokie, so I believe that replay should now be loaded in, and it looks like the map for Game 2 in this best of 5 gonna be the Shallows. So gonna have a little bit of a macro fest here as I load us on into the game. Shout out to all. If AGameAnx wins, Magpie has to finish the stream topless. Drunk Dwarf Buddy. Ordinarily, I mean, I'm with you. I am all for suggesting topless streams, usually when other people are casting. But if I had to cast topless every time AGameAnx won, I would spend most of my time in Deserts of Karak topless. Like, seriously. I'm aware that the scoreline at the top says that everybody has 0, but I'm just going to make sure that I have these two players in the correct positions. Sometimes, well, you'll see in a second, I'll explain. So, let's see. Spawning in the south here, playing as the Sky Blue Coalition Forces, it is Descara, who is, of course, leading 1-0 in this series. And spawning in the north here, playing as the grey, or I would say that's dark grey and black, Coalition Forces. It is... Sorry, for a second there, you know what threw me off? It was this... That logo. That is the Saban logo, right? I think that is like the Saban Kith logo. I'm pretty sure it is. Anyway, for a second I thought he was playing as Saban, but of course he's not, because you're not allowed to change halfway through a series. That's an arm logistics module. He is playing as Saban. Was he playing as Saban the last game? If he's playing as Saban the last game, I'm considerably embarrassed. Because I didn't even notice. LOL.
Abort move to rally point. Hold fast.
Oh, Magpie. Pro casting. Pro casting. Oh man, imagine if I was casting StarCraft 2 and I kept calling a Zerg player the Terran player or like something. God damn it. You take a couple of weeks off, and it's fair to say I have had a couple of weeks off, and oh my god, it all falls apart. Well, anyway, okay, so AGame's actually playing as Saban, let's get that straight. Oh dear, okay. Yeah, okay, let's get these scorelines straight, that's the next thing to do. So Descara right now, okay, so we're going to need to... Player B properties, so this is... Oops. Descara...
Stand by.
There we go, sorry guys. The joys of OBS.
Hold fast. Do not proceed to rally point. Rally point set. Move to location.
There we go, that should now be correct. So there we go, red player, AGameAnx. Yes, okay, we all good, we all good. Yeah, one of the joys of using OBS, of course, the fact that it's really hard / impossible to edit overlays unless they're actually on the screen at the time, which leads to these super professional moments where I get to like edit the overlays in real time.
Salvager online.
Right there.
Pardon me.
We're moving on.
So yeah, I mean, this is a really macro map, so I guess, yeah, both players going for a pretty quick support cruiser, both players moving their carrier into the forward position, which is really sweet, because that way your carrier defends this choke point, so you're kind of like garrisoning like 3 resource extraction sites just by moving your carrier into this location, and let's face it, defending the distance between like here and here to hold 3 resource extraction sites is like a pretty sweet deal, hence why this map is traditionally a slightly more macro map. Of course, that does make it like super cheesy if you do decide to try and cheese on this map. AGameAnx! Oh, righty! So AGameAnx was Coalition... Okay, AGame, you're in chat, once again saving the day. Thank you, good sir. Okay, so AGameAnx confirmed playing as random, so that's why. He was maybe, I hope, Coalition in the last game, and he is indeed Saban this game, so playing as random. Ballsy! That's pretty cool. Kijal. Relax, Magpie. Inhale. Dude, I haven't cast for so long. This is all the like pent-up casting energy, just like boom, coming on out. I'll relax when I feel like it. I will. I promise. Maybe. Okay, so looks like Descara going to come on in with an LAV here. Going to get a scout off. See what he sees. Probably not much really, but at least he identifies the fact that he's not about to get like cheesed in the face. There's no like facial fromage headed his way. Gonna grab himself an artifact as well. Here is Descara. Actually, you know what? I did say I'd pay more attention to his build order, so let's pay some attention to that. Looks like he has LAVs, AAVs, and that's kind of about it, actually. So we haven't missed too much. He does have AAVs. Whoopsie. He does have AAVs, right? Yeah, sweet. But it's AGameAnx here who comes up with the first AAV. That one is now out on the field. Gets itself an LAV, which is, let's face it, a pretty nice pickup at this stage in the game. AGame also building strike fighters, so air tech completed for him. Actually, he already has 2. 3 and 4 on the queue right now. You can see the 3rd one being built here.
Roger that. Coordinates confirmed.
So, yeah. This AAV, like, making a pretty severe nuisance of itself here.
New heading set. New coordinates verified. Hold.
Should get pushed away, and this base runner ought to not die. he says. Really ought to not die. Second production cruiser is now out for Descara. Looks like he gets that one up a little way ahead of AGameAnx. Actually, AGameAnx not even building his yet, so looks like AGameAnx is going to be trading some economical deficit here for some air forces, and he's going to come on in here to get some hits onto the far south mining location. Actually, is he focusing the support cruiser? Can you get that with 4 strike fighters? I didn't think that you could. I thought that this was not possible. Is 4 the number of strike fighters you need to get a support cruiser kill? Oh wow, Descara, I think I like running the carrier down here and moving the support cruiser up to it, because you could have maybe tried to get some repairs down there. Probably wouldn't have made any difference, but you know, whatever. So okay, 4 is actually fine for killing a support cruiser, it turns out. Absolutely fine. And now, actually, is there 5 here? 6? Okay, there's 6. Wow, he just keeps them coming. So pretty heavy aerial bombardment here from AGameAnx, scoring a massive kill here on that support cruiser. That's turbo irritating for Descara, and like definitely puts him at a deficit in this game. He is on the back foot for sure here.
Construction resources exhausted.
But he is grabbing 2 artifacts. And what is he? Does he have missile ships? Okay, yeah, so missile batteries have been researched, and he is building them. And that ought to obviously save him considerably from these roving air forces that A-Game is marauding around the map with. He gets a base runner with an artifact, so boom, there goes that one. In fact, actually, that just leaves the wounded base runner, and A-Game will know that that's the wounded base runner. He's just good enough that will have made a mental note that the base runner he killed was on full health there. So yeah, he's going to try and get this one before the artifact is good. He's going to need something a little faster, maybe some more strike fighters or something. Oh, he loses a strike fighter trying for it, actually. Kind of a little bit of an unforced error there. And I mean, so, okay, Descara does grab an artifact. Whoops. Does grab an artifact as I hit the Windows button, which immediately takes me to my desktop. Good stuff. But seriously, so 1-0 the scoreline here. Descara has replaced that support cruiser he lost earlier, and A-Game is up to 3 mining locations himself now, so I would say this game looks actually pretty even, because, okay, so Descara has an artifact, and A-Game has air superiority, but Descara has the appropriate counter, so I feel like that air superiority doesn't really count for a lot now, and if you ignore the air forces and ignore the missile batteries, that basically means it's what, 2 AAVs against 4, a couple of LAVs against none actually, and a railgun here for Descara. So actually no hint of railgun tech. I'd be amazed if it wasn't done for A-Game, but like no hint of it just yet. Actually these air forces still finding some damage. These AAVs just roving out down the right flank. Not quite sure what they hope to achieve. Bro, A-Game has like massive air superiority here. I'm not sure what these AAVs are thinking about moving out on the map. Are they just like a sacrifice to buy time, perhaps? I don't know. That seems like a pretty suboptimal move out there. I'm not entirely convinced that I understand those. That move out. And now, okay, now A-Game does have a pretty decent force here. I mean, that is 7 AAVs with a ton of strike fighters. How many is he up to now? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he's up to 9 strike fighters. And like 9 strike fighters is like enough that you can start killing the missile batteries like without too much bother. Anyway, railguns here for Descara are going to be handy on the defense here. Gonna grab himself a few AAVs. These AAVs are kind of probably coming in a little too deep here for A-Game. I don't think that they were really able to secure any meaningful damage, and they will lose their lives. So that means that Descara, I mean, like, this game is super on the knife's edge right now. I think it's like actually balanced. It's hard to pick a favorite out of these two players right now. But Descara has an artifact, and A-Game has like 9 strike fighters. So it's like whatever you like best out of those two. I suppose I like 9 strike fighters better than an artifact, but it's pretty close when you consider that Descara has like decent-ish anti-air. Did he research support cruiser anti-air pack? Yeah. Okay, so those support cruisers are also like on for anti-air as well. I am right about that. Yeah, cool.
Alert! Hostile strike fighter in circulation.
Strike fighter's just like taking out a UAV there, I believe that was. And we might just be in for a moment or two of quiet as these two players circle each other, like sumo wrestlers sparring, waiting for a pivotal moment here, waiting to take their opponent off balance. Each positioning for advantage. A-Game here, obviously, he has this flank of it's another quadrio of AAVs coming down the right flank here, so he's probably going to look to force some units away for Descara, or take a fight somewhere in mid and then come swinging in with these, or he might swing in with these and then take a fight in mid. But this is like classic RTS tactics. Hit one place, then hit another whilst your opponent's attention is elsewhere. So in come the AAVs, and like there's nothing really here to defend. The strike fighters are also here to try and maybe get a pick off on a support cruiser actually, and that would be painful. That would be really painful for Descara. That may be backbreaking, to be honest. Is he only mining with 2 harvesters on this location? No, 3, okay, but not fully saturated. Oh my goodness me, the damage on those strike fighters is brutal. And that will be a support cruiser kill there for AGameAnx. Nice. And that was like, I mean, I don't think he lost anything for that. So that's a more or less flawless support cruiser pick there. Descara here is going to try and get a base runner out of here, but like, quick like handbrake turn there as he sees the Wallow rail coming for him. A Wallow rail which will cause this base runner to fail in its attempt to extract an artifact here, and boom, there that one goes. And I don't know, this looks like turbo rough for Descara right now, and we may have this series eveling or equaning. That is 2 of the wrong hybrids between equaling or evening up. So yeah, smashing each other up. Okay, so you can see Descara here with like a fleet of strike fighters of his own, going to be trying to like lay down some fire here. Blows up a few of the railguns, even gets a few hits on AGame's strike fighters. Actually, wow, Descara's up to like 9 himself. So this is going to be an air war. Okay, so AGameAnx has 8 strike fighters. Descara has 9, right? He's just got his 10th, but he has 3 more on the queue. So Descara here is taking air superiority seriously, to say the least. His missile battery is also like roving on the map. This is hazardous. But I actually don't mind it. If he can lure the strike fighters out here and then pounce with his own wings, this could be pretty good. But now the railguns are in the hood. AGame getting some pretty like free damage here with these railguns. Also, backstab of AAVs comes sledgehammering on in here. Going to try and look for some damage, or at the very least a pretty convincing distraction here. There's such a lot going on in this game. This is like testament to just how high tier these players are. Like, you often get pretty awesome battles in Deserts of Karak. That's like one of the many reasons I love it as an RTS. But I mean, this particular battle is like so tactical right now. These 2 players, like, every single edge, every single unit is going to matter here. Somehow Descara hanging in here despite having lost 2 support cruisers, but I mean, he's clearly on the back foot, but he's definitely not out of this, not with this Air Force. He might be if he just comes in here like this. Okay, so you can see AGame was lurking with his strike fighters to the north, so whilst Descara's strike fighters loosed their missiles into the ground units, AGame's strike fighters are taking the anti-air shots here. And now it's up to you to decide which of those 2 is actually the better value, because I'm not sure. Because I moved the camera here to try and like get more of the units in. It's actually kind of difficult to frame this whole battle, but it seems to me like AGame is going to win the air war. In fact, have all the missile batteries been taken out for Descara? Yeah. Okay, so I think with the demise of all the missile batteries, this is AGame's game. Right? I can't see how Descara wins this with his missile batteries being lost. Because he's on 2 support cruisers. He's down to 1, 2, 3, 6. He's still got 10 strike fighters, actually. And AGame is on 4 strike fighters with 4 on the queue. My god, this is just such an... What, has the meta just changed loads since, like... I don't know, when was I casting this game last? Like, late December, I think? Because this is, like, such an air-powered game at the moment. Is this what the Shallows looks like in a sort of CVC or, like, SVS or SVC now? I don't know. I'm not complaining. This is just the first time I think I've seen like players go this deep into strike fighters. Alright, so it looks like Descara here is going to like preemptively slink his support cruiser back a little bit. Strike fighter's still doing good here. There is a missile battery on the ground now for AGame though, and that's going to be pretty big in this fight. You can see good salvos coming in from AGame as well. A few of the strike fighters there for Descara are going to peel down and die. In fact, only 3 remaining, so that was kind of a brutal engage there. And now the carrier is exposed. There's railguns in the hood. There's anti-air on the ground. There's anti-air in the air. That's got to be AGame's game, right? Is he even getting any artifacts? I love it. That is a sign of confidence in my eyes that he's not going for artifacts. He's like, he just doesn't need artifacts. Why would he waste money going for artifacts when he can just kill the carrier? And you have to think that that's going to be what happens here, like pretty soon. Wow, the graphics for the Saban railguns have changed. They're like these yellow trails now. What? When did that change? Why are they doing no damage? Is this like some kind of ability? What is this? I do not know this ability. Ah, why won't the tooltip mark target? Okay. I don't think I've ever seen mark target used. I'm pretty sure I've literally never seen that used. Okay, interesting.
Let's roll out. Ready, set.
Didn't seem super effective there. I wonder if that was like a mispress, because I think if he was just firing regular old railgun slugs there, that would have been pretty devastating. Is this like some Saban tech then?
Deploy smoke and designate.
Or do Coalition railguns have this as well? Somebody tell me, do Coalition railguns have this as well?
Armored vehicle is taking fire.
Hey, Sinistro in chat. Good to see you, buddy.
On our way. Deploy smoke.
So Sinistro, you're a guy who'll know this. The mark target thing on railguns, is that like Saban only, or is that Coalition? I should know this, being as I am a caster, but I don't. Okay, so basically, what we're seeing right now is A-Game just pressuring. Like, he is just pressuring. He is just leaning on his opponent. He's way bigger. He has way more resources. All he has to do is lean on Descara now. And every second that goes by, the possibilities for Descara diminish. And the efficiency for A-Game increases. But Descara has managed to stash up a lot of railguns. He doesn't really have much in the way of anti-air, like, at all, though. And A-Game has 5 strike fighters still. So this is going to be a rough defense. And, like, the railgun slugs are still flying in from the Saban player here.
Coordinates confirmed.
Amazingly not getting a ton of damage done here. Okay, so he uses Mark on the carrier. That's what these yellow shots are.
Taking fire.
Is Mark like AoE?
Is under fire.
I know nothing about this Mark ability. AGameAnx, the Mark ability, roughly half as effective as gaining high ground on the enemy. Coalition railguns do not have Mark. It was really silly of me to smash Mark target against the rails, is what A-Game says. Okay, cool. So that kind of was a bit of a mispress then on that ability. It looks like Descara is going to choose this moment to GG out, though. He recognizes when he's beaten. Boom. And there goes that one. So, okay, 1-1 in this series. Interesting stuff. A-Game playing as a random as well. Yeah, I'm good. So, wow. I'm just like turbo... That was just a cool game. I've just never seen a game like that with like so many strike fighters. And it's hard to really pinpoint a moment where I think Descara made like a massive blunder. I don't know, I think he did move out with his 3 missile batteries. And I think the plan was to like lure the strike fighters of A-Game in and then like and then take air superiority. But when he lost his missile batteries, that was kind of the game, because after that all A-Game had to do was lean on him, and there was just no way that he was ever going to get back in. Also, actually, I suppose as well, losing that early support cruiser to the strike fighter pick, that was just awful. I mean, and not awful like, oh my god, Descara, how did you let that happen? I mean, it was just awful for Descara. That's like heartbreaking. And it's so hard to come back from that. So actually, with that in mind, I'm kind of amazed that the game was as close as it was, because losing a support cruiser at that timing is like back-breaking. And he lost another support cruiser later on and was able to kind of limp back like past that even for a while. So credit to Descara, showing a lot of heart here in that game. Game 3, just loading that one into the folder now. Let's take a looky. Looks like the map is going to be Tauren Crater. So let's load on into that game. So remember, AGameAnx still playing as random, and Descara is going to be Coalition, of course. I think A-Game rolled Coalition for this. I believe my like caster sensors / hacks can tell you that. But we'll soon see. We'll soon see. Oh, my back. Alrighty. Spawning in the south, playing as the black and grey Coalition forces. It is AGameAnx, who was just able to bring this series to a 1-1 tie. And spawning in the north, playing as the sky blue Coalition forces, it is none other than Descara.
Position mark. Take us out. Hold.
So, Tauren Crater. Well, I mean, again, if these players weren't so multifaceted and like just good at being good at doing like tons of different builds and strategies and playing a whole load of different styles, then I would feel confident in offering you some kind of prediction, like, hey, this player usually likes to be aggressive, so I think that, you know, on Tauren Crater he'll probably do a, you know, something like this, and, you know, this will be the effect on the gameplay, perhaps the other player will respond in this way or something like that. But, you know, part of the pleasure of casting these two players is that I really don't feel I can tell you anything at all about what either of them are going to do. I suppose in my head, Descara has like a default build that he does sometimes go for. Oh, that reminds me actually, A-Game is now the white forces, so I'm just going to update the overlays whilst this gets underway. Do just give me a second here.
PDA active. Stand by. Proceed to area site.
Proceed to rally point. Secure location marked. Rally point set.
Yeah.
Secure location.
There we go. I believe that is now accurate. Cool.
Salvager online.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, Descara kind of has like a default build that and it looks like he might be doing that, where he gets this early support cruiser, he goes into AAVs, and then he pushes out for a poke.
Go for carrier.
For AGameAnx, well, of course he's got LAV fab. He's going to actually build a couple of LAVs. Production tab is open, as you can see. Now he transitions into an AAV, having completed that research. Can't see the research, of course, for Descara in this game.
Secure location marked.
Confirmed.
I have to say, I'm slightly surprised not to see him. I mean, well, I guess he's going for this kind of like super ballsy macro style, so he went for the really fast support cruiser, and he's being so greedy. This is like 4 salvages in a row here. And it has to be an AAV next, or I think the wheels are going to fall off. Like, this is so greedy. And there's the AAV. So that AAV will probably come out, like, just in time to defend against these 2 LAVs, and then, you know, AAV production will probably stay on for Descara, and that will enable him to defend against these AAVs that are also coming across the map from AGameAnx. So, as ever here, Descara, you know, it's not like he just thought of this build. This is probably something he's done in, like, countless games. So he knows that he can get this base, like, up and saturated and still be able to defend against another coalition player, just because he knows the timings of when the opponent's units can get to his base and things like that. So, nicely done here from Descara. That is going to give him, like, a considerable economical advantage, I suppose, because A-Game, of course, long-distance mining off of the second site here, whereas Descara just happily, naturally mining here. It's beautiful. Here come the forces for AGameAnx, looking for some damage here. Going to see if he can get anything done. Remember when AAVs like try to battle each other? It's like these look like bullets. These look like giant chain guns, but they are in fact gentle, warm, refreshing breezes, which is why they take so long to kill each other. Now it just turns out when you've got low damage combined with high armor, then just tends to take quite a long time to kill those units if they're fighting among themselves. So anyway, here comes whoa, he's just doing like another misty flip, is this one. A-Game getting a little bit tricksy with his movement here, but here come the AAVs, they're coming on in, looking for some damage here. Smoke comes down from Descara to try and defend. Base Runner's going to drop a turret as well, actually, and that really does say, get off my lawn. What is with these AAVs, man? Anyway, yeah, turret here is going to be trying to get these kids off his lawn. I think the turret was actually focused down there, which is why we don't hear it firing anymore. So nice focus fire there from AGameAnx, going to try and maximise the value. Even gets a salvager, so that's 1 salvager now. So I suppose Descara is perhaps being slightly punished for his macro opening here. Now let's check the tech here for AGameAnx. No follow-up tech at the moment. And this should be a fight which pretty swiftly you'd expect Descara to marshal, because, you know, obviously his units are reinforcing like right here from the carrier in the fight. Base Runner also going to make a break for it here from Descara, so he might try and sneak an artifact, or he may be able to sneak an artifact out. This is a lot of AAVs coming out from AGameAnx. This one I think is the last one, but you can see there is a chain of AAVs coming across the map, and this represents like considerable pressure. Perhaps A-Game identifying just how greedy Descara has been, and deciding that he's got to try and get some kind of a punish done, or he's going to be falling behind. He gets a logistics module, he got a number of salvagers, he's disrupted mining on this location. Although the strike craft are now out, sorry, the strike fighters are now out for Descara, you've got to think that this attack was worth it for AGameAnx. And also, let's not also forget, like, revealing your air tech by being forced to defend in your base is completely different from revealing your air tech by sniping your opponent's support cruiser. Like, those two things have a very different, like, feel and attitude in the game. And certainly if you're AGameAnx, like, okay, you're going to lose all of these attacking units, but I feel like he's done good damage here. Let's bring up the unit loss tab. Units lost, okay, so approximately even in terms of value of units lost, but when you take into account the fact that many of these units lost were salvages here for Descara, and that he's lost a ton of mining time, Descara is undoubtedly behind in this game. Like, I can't see another argument. Except for the fact that he did, so, you know, silver lining, like behind all this, he did get an artifact. But I mean, this isn't over. How? Oh my god, this isn't over. Oh my god, there's still salvages going down. How many salvages does he even have left?
Hostile designated. Mark Baron.
Okay, so Descara is on 2 salvages. Oh.
Support cruiser now.
I feel like in my mind, all I can hear is that noise that Peter Griffin makes when he like bashes his shin or his foot when he's running, and he's just like like I'm getting like mental sympathy pains for like just how badly Descara's shin has just been bashed. Oh my god, that's just grimy damage there from AGame. Oh no, and like the LAVs are even going to find this base runner, so that's just like another asset that Descara does not have or is going to be denied to him in this game. How many strike craft does he have? 5. But now AGame has 3 at least. How many does AGame have? Going up to 5. He'll have 5 shortly. Let's bring the production tab back up. He's got 4, 5th one building. So this is production tab. Can you please work with the bars? Okay, right. Well, production tab is not going to cooperate with us right now. But yeah, okay, yeah. Descara knows when he's beat. Damn. Okay. Wow.
Mission success. All ships reform on
So, okay, a calculated risk from Descara there, going for a very heavy macro opener, support cruiser into quad salvager before any military units, and AGame was able to scout that and just like, and it was so close because at the moment he scouted that, when he came in with those initial LAVs and AAVs, like the balance of force was like reasonably even. I even thought, as I said in the cast, that Descara would be able to defend that pretty easily, but no. AGame there, just able to keep the pressure on, able to keep Descara like just about behind in the defense, and then, you know, deny mining from the main, start slaughtering salvages, and the air tech from Descara was like, okay, it was enough to stabilize the immediate vicinity of his mining locations, but it was not enough to bring him back in that game. And just wow, nicely done there from AGame. You've got to think, like, I mean, scouting that beautifully, and then applying the appropriate pressure, and executing it really nicely. I mean, that just felt like a convincing game there from AGame. I don't know if any of you follow tennis, but sometimes when you're watching tennis, especially in the men's game, you often find that certain players, you know, they can just, sometimes they just smash an ace, like, reasonably frequently, and you feel like no matter how good their opponent is, they're always going to smash an ace on about 20% of their shots, or maybe more. And that's such a good thing to have as a tennis player, and I feel like AGame is a bit like that. Like, sometimes, doesn't matter who he's playing against, and it doesn't matter how good, like, how well his opponent is playing, sometimes AGame just like smashes an ace, and it's just like, oh yeah, really like what you did there, opponent, like that was really good. But like AGame just like, boom, it's just like, you know, there was nothing you could have done in that game. Like, there just wasn't anything you could have done. So anyway, so okay, we're going to move into game 4 here. It is of course match point now, 2-1 to AGame, and I'm just loading the replay into the folder now. Firebase Krill going to be the map for game 4. As I bring you on into the game. So let me change around these overlays here briefly. Bear with me. There we go. Alrighty, so, well, Descara with everything to do here, but Firebase Krill is one of those tricky maps where if you have a plan and you're willing to stake your tournament life on it, sometimes you can pull things off on this map, basically. I'll discuss that more in just a second. But for now, let's go ahead and introduce these two players. Spawning in the south, playing as the Sky Blue. Coalition forces, it is going to be Descara.
Control Group 6 designated.
And spawning in the north, playing as the black and grey. Looks like he's rolled Saban again, because he is playing as random. It is AGameAnx. So, so far not actually rolling either of the Galzian/Knef like factions at all. But such is being random. So let's see what these two players are going to have in store for us here. I'll try and keep the research tab open when I can, so that we can take a little look here at how Descara goes about his order of operations here at the start of the game, because I know that that's interesting for players at home who are watching. If any of you out there are budding Coalition players, you could do so much worse than just grabbing a pen and a piece of paper and writing down the things that Descara is doing, what he's building, what he's researching, and the times at which he's doing it. Because that will give you a good benchmark to aim for. If you can keep up with Descara for the first like 3 or 4 minutes of a game, then that will set you up incredibly well. This is how I learn a lot of RTSs. Definitely, for example, how I learned StarCraft 2. You just watch players who are really good, write down what it is they're doing, practice it till you can do it as well or nearly as well as they can, and that way you can ease yourself at least into like a solid foundation of a game, and from there you can try and develop your own style, mix it up, do whatever it is you like. But it's always nice to have a couple of safe openings that you reckon that you can do in a game. And Descara, I have to say, probably the master of like safe openings for Coalition. And the reason I give that some hefty air quotes is because that last game didn't really demonstrate that, and it looks like he's going for a similar build. Okay, no, slightly less greedy. So this time he does go support cruiser first, but instead of 4 salvagers, it is just 2, and now he's into LAVs. AAV Fab going to finish up here momentarily. AGameAnx a little way ahead actually on the AAV Fab. That's already happening now. A couple of LAVs going to come out to grab some scouting info, and you can already feel, even though the players haven't even had line of sight on each other, this is how mirror matches, and I'm going to call Saban versus Coalition a mirror match just for now. It's not, I know it's not, but this is how mirror matches go. There's always an attacker and a defender, and figuring out whether you're the attacker or the defender is crucial, because then you know what role you have to play in the matchup. And whoever is the defender is whoever takes the more macro style in the opening. And so you can see by going for the support cruiser first and the salvagers first, it is Descara who is going to be the defender, at least in the opening stages of this game. So it's going to be up to AGameAnx to apply pressure, scout, identify targets of opportunity, and exploit his opponent's weaknesses. Before Descara's gamble, and any kind of a macro opening is always a gamble of sorts, you're saying, okay, I will gamble having a slightly weaker opening game so that I have a stronger later game. So it's on a game here to punish this gamble. And to that extent, I mean, you know, if these units were in this base already, this game would probably, you know, be almost over. Because this is 4 AAVs, and they are coming out across the map. Now, lucky for Descara, AAVs are not fast, and he's going to have some time here to build up some defenses. He's going for fighter and gunship fab, so this actually looks like the build from game 2, but just a little bit faster, because he's cut 2 salvagers. So hopefully that's going to make the difference. I don't know what one can say about the rush distance on this map. Is it the same as Torrin Crater? It's probably about the same, yeah. It's got to be very similar. So this LAV just kind of already actually being annoying here, and he's focusing the support cruiser. So ballsy, A-game, so ballsy. Who really focuses the support cruiser with 1 LAV? Like, you can tell he is a man who just knows that's the unit he wants to kill here, and he also knows. I mean, like that's like, I would say 20% or 25% of the health of this support cruiser that has been taken off by 1 LAV, and that's going to make a difference here, or at least it very well could make a difference here as this fight goes on. And like, it's little things. That's what I'm talking about at the top level of play. Little things like that can make the difference. Anyway, fight's going to happen here, and as we got a little AAV versus AAV action here. The red health bars are AGameAnx, the green health bars here are Descara. Looks like it's 4 right now, 4 AAVs. And look, this support cruiser is just getting dackered down, man. Support cruisers don't have a lot of armor, so AAVs are actually pretty good against them. And I just can't see how A-Game is not going to get this support cruiser. Like, Descara for sure should be losing this one, maybe? I don't know, actually. Can he get repair beams on his... You need to turn on repairs on the carrier! Descara, the repairs! Oh, this is huge. He's so desperately... Every point of HP on that support cruiser matters right now. Let's bring up the units lost tab, because that's super important. Now we can track in real time and see just who's doing how well in this exchange. He's going to lose the support cruiser. Damn, son. Okay, so... losing that support cruiser is the point at which this macro opening, this like gamble, if you like, for Descara, has now like definitively ceased to pay off. Like, it is now this is no longer this build. It is a statement of fact to say A-Game has effectively countered this macro build with a more aggressive build of his own. And now salvagers are going down. You know, the units here for a Descara are desperately trying to do something, but the trouble with an AAV war at this stage in the game is it usually favors the attacker. The reason for this is AAVs don't do a lot of damage to each other. They almost ignore each other. So if you're going to have a fight with AAVs against AAVs, you'd rather do it in your opponent's base. You'd rather be the attacker, because that's where all their soft targets are that your AAVs can hurt. So if your opponent's got 4 AAVs and they're hitting your AAVs, you're like, I don't really care, they don't do very much damage. But if there are other targets nearby, so you can be soaking that damage and killing their salvages and killing their support cruisers, well, that's great. Like, that is, like, where you want to be. And, like, we've seen this. This is the second game running now where AGame has demonstrated this. Now, let's zoom out. Let's take a deep breath here and see if Descara has a hope in this. Because, like, his tournament life is on the line. It's 2-1. He can't GG out of this without GGing out of the tournament. So he's going to play. And he's chasing down these AAVs, you know, that's definitely getting him some value here. He's got 1, he can keep chasing. If he micros his AAVs sensibly, he shouldn't lose any on the pursuit. He's got 2 base runners out on the map. He's going to be trying to grab some artifacts. Now, obviously the bad news, economically, he is way behind. Also on the bad news front is the fighter and gunship fab, which Descara is just now restarting, actually, it looks like, and which AGame has completed. So he is all of these AAVs are going to die. There is nothing that can be done to save them. They're not going to achieve almost any damage. So, oh my god, all he got for those 4 AAVs was 1 AAV. Oh no. And I don't even think it was the wrong decision to chase. I think I would have chased as well. I mean, what are you going to do? Leave your AAVs on your half the map after that opening? I don't think so. I don't think that looks like a winning line. So okay, all the AAVs get scrubbed. And that leaves 2 base runners trying to scurry some artifacts away. And there's a very real chance he's going to get at least one of these. He should get this one. And then the strike fighters are just going to come back home and rain hell on the forces, on the salvages here for Descara. I mean, this clearly looks almost apocalyptically bad for Descara. Here's the health on that base runner, so you can just keep an eye on it here. But there's just no way he's going to score that artifact. It's not happening. Boom. And that will be that. So he gets an artifact, does Descara. That's something. But it may not be enough here. So, okay, he's managed to get up enough salvages. Like, the economy of Descara is online. It's not as good as AGame's, but it is at least, you know, extant, which is good. This base runner frantically running here will probably get sniped on the retreat here. Oh, he's going to try and back it up. I don't think there was no right decision here. I think either way that base runner was going to die. It was going to die. Okay, so now 3 strike fighters coming out here for... Oh no, Descara! Oh, these strike fighters just... That is so many strike fighters for AGame. So any dogfight here is just obviously going to favour AGame. Oh, dear me. And there the strike fighters go. 3 against 9. Never looks too pretty when it's a dogfight. And now there's a lot of LAVs coming in, there's AAVs, and I was going to go on to say, if these 2 players would have given me a chance, that sometimes I've noticed AGame can be a little sluggish closing games out where he gets a nice early lead like this, but this to me looks like he is definitely, you know, stamping down the jackboot here. This is going to be pretty rough here, the sledgehammer of forces from AGameAnx. I mean, this looks like a pretty good crush coming in here. He's got overwhelming air force, he's got enough LAVs to maraud through, he's got a couple of AAVs for some slightly, you know, more durable damage dealers here, and that is game. That is just game. Wow. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. AGameAnx, going to be your champion here in Artifact Cup number 19, which I realise is slightly out of date now, but it was the replays I had, and I felt like casting some Deserts of Karax, so yes indeed. So congratulations.